Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Ashley McDowell. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Another specimen has been sent to Guam for testing of the COVID-19 here in the CNMI. Also tonight, we speak with two individuals who are currently being quarantined. And goods are continuing to flow into the CNMI even with limited store hours. Stay with us, these stories and more are next.
My family is on whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume.
Since we installed the Docomo whole home Wi-Fi, what did you guys notice about it?
When you pull up the driveway, it automatically connects, and I don't have to get out of my car right away and come upstairs to go on my phone.
My favorite thing is that it doesn't buffer when I'm watching YouTube.
My favorite thing is that when Addie calls now, there's no lag. Like before, it used to be where I couldn't see her sometimes and I have to hang up and then call her back, and now I don't have to do that.
You know what's a good thing too is that when you come over to visit, I could give you your own password. I can assign a time limit so that I can say that you can only be on it for 1 hour, so that means you won't get in trouble from your mom.
And then you can go home.
The thing that I love the most is that I can freeze the internet for periods of time so that we can enjoy dinner time like this. Why are you rolling your eyes? So I'll turn it back on after dinner. Whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Try a double Filet-O-Fish sandwich for double the flavor, just in time for Lent. For limited time, served after 10:30 a.m.
At one of Saipan's beaches, this mother lays about 100 eggs under the cover of darkness. She hides her nest as best she can and then slowly makes her way back to the ocean. The eggs hatch and the babies head for the sea, where they will face a daily dose of danger. Just 1 in 1,000 will make it to adulthood. Those that do will one day lay their own eggs. Sea turtles are protected under CNMI law. If you see one that is stranded or if you see illegal activity, call the hotline at 287-8537.
Half a day, Tirawami, and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Friday, March 27th, 2020. A fifth individual has been tested for the coronavirus here in the CNMI. A fifth specimen has been sent to the Guam Public Health Lab to test for the coronavirus.
So far, we've sent over a handful of specimens under 10, and we're getting them all screened through Guam. So far, only 4 results have come in, and so far they've been all negative.
Bautista says when an individual gets a specimen sent to Guam, he or she is quarantined in a designated area within the hospital until the results come back.
Based off of the symptoms they present, whether it meets the surveillance criteria or meets a PUI criteria, which is our person under investigation, which is a little higher than a surveillance criteria, that individual will then be isolated in a very similar manner as you saw with the Century Hotel case. So, but in this case, right now, from what I've received from CHEC, the individual is being monitored closely at the hospital by medical professionals and is being tended to.
He says if the results for the individual were to come back positive, the individual will continue to be monitored and quarantined, and the public will be informed immediately.
The individual would be subject to quarantine and then heavily much more monitored within our text surveillance system and medical professionals by CHEC. Again, our current protocols stay the same. Obviously, the threat level goes up higher, just given the fact that now there would be a confirmed case. But beyond everything put together, this government is doing everything we can to isolate that individual should it come at the source and contain it, and then do the contact tracing from that individual with family members, loved ones, and anyone he or she has come in close contact with over the last 14 days, and then go from there.
Today, the U.S. Department of Interior has provided $858,924 to procure the Gene Expert COVID-19 testing kits and machine for the Pacific territories. This includes the CNMI.
So this grant is awarded for the emergency bulk procurement of Gene Expert COVID-19 testing kits and machine for the U.S. territories of American Samoa, the CNMI, and Guam, as well as the freely associated states of the Federated States of Micronesia, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, and the Republic of Palau. So this is a blanket Pacific Island U.S. territory grant award for bulk procurement of Gene Expert, which is the testing kit. The timeline on when we will receive that testing kit, CHEC is in close contact with the Pacific Island Health Officers Association to ensure the procurement and the retrieval of those testing kits. And when we get the testing kits on island, we'll be sure to announce that to you guys accordingly.
As of today, March 27th, 84 individuals have been quarantined here in the CNMI at the Kanoa Resort, all returning from areas that have positive COVID-19 cases.
These individuals have come from both the United Airline flight out of Guam and the Skymark Airline flight out of Narita, Japan. A significant portion of them are local residents, with only a few handful as tourists. However, there have been arrangements for those tourists to then return back to their country of origin, and most of them are Japanese tourists. Our Korean flights have all been suspended. Our Chinese flights have all been suspended, and Skymark, as you guys know, has been announced that Skymark is no longer flying to the CNMI as of a few days ago.
The individuals will be quarantined for 14 days per Directive 8 of Governor Torres's Second Amended Executive Order 2020-4. Bautista says the results for the fifth individual that has been tested for COVID-19 are expected to be received within the next 2 days. But at this time, there are still no confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the CNMI. Reporting for KSPN, I'm Ashley McDowell. And speaking on the current number of people being quarantined, 2 returning Saipan residents are in a mandatory 14-day quarantine at the Kanoa Resort. They flew in from off-island on Skymark Airlines on Monday, the first day of the government quarantine, and tonight they shared their experience with our Chris Nelson.
Russ and Kenai Quinn first met and married over 2 decades ago when they both worked as clubmates for Pacific Islands Club in Guam. They have made Saipan their home, running local businesses including Mariana's Eye Institute and Gold's Gym. They are currently spending 14 days at the Kanoa Resort. They have a room with an ocean view. However, they're not allowed to use any of the resort facilities, but both are keeping a positive attitude.
We're very happy with the quarantine conditions. I would rather be at home, but that's not an option. So I'm okay with that.
I think as long as the whole world realizes that we're all connected in this, and that we need to stay home, we need to be doing our part to keep everyone healthy and safe, this is how we fight it. So we don't mind being here for 14 days to make sure that we're safe and that keep the CNMI safe. We want to keep our island safe.
The Quinns say they are trying to keep to some routines to help pass the time. Today is day 5.
Clean the floors, clean everything. I do laundry. Wait, hold on. A little bit of laundry on their patio. So we can't have anything brought back out. So whatever we have here stays here. So that means us just washing our clothes. So I had some soap brought in from our house. So we have an ability to clean our own clothes. That keeps some time. And then we're watching some Netflix, sometimes at evenings, only at nighttime. And then we read books.
Do a little bit of work, emails, and what we can do from here. And then usually about mid-morning, we get our breakfast. They serve us 3 meals a day. So they'll call us and let us know our breakfast is in front of our door. And then after we eat some breakfast, they let us know that it's time to go for some recreation time. So they have a quarantined area that they walk us down to and let us either sit out in the sun or do some exercise or whatever. So we do a lot of a couple times a day we get out and do some exercise, and then it's back to the room.
Both say they're looking forward to getting home, spending some quality time with their dogs, and self-reflection is a big part of this 14-day timeout.
Sometimes we're so busy with their regular lives on a day-to-day basis that maybe we don't call our parents for a week or two. Now it's, we're calling all the time, making sure that they're okay, and they're asking if we're okay. And that's really important. I think that's one of the biggest things I realize is that we have to really take care of each other.
A male making terroristic threats online is now behind bars. The Department of Public Safety arrested Angel St. Nicholas on Wednesday of this week after numerous complaints were made that St. Nicholas was making threats of violence towards on-island leaders through an online platform. Authorities investigated the comment made online and identified St. Nicholas, who confirmed his account was still active and he was the only individual using the account. Officers interviewed St. Nicholas a second time, where he admitted to creating the comment that said, quote, "Someone gotta shoot the leader in the head," end quote. St. Nicholas was placed under arrest for terroristic threatening that is in violation of the Commonwealth Code, where he was booked and detained at the Department of Corrections. In Washington, D.C., the third coronavirus relief bill that was passed by the U.S. Senate now includes funding for state and territory governments. Congressman Gregorio Sablon states the new Senate bill increased funding from $100 million to as much as $153 million for insular schools. The Senate bill will also give unemployed workers in the Marianas about $360 a week, plus federal supplement of $600 per week, and is available up to 39 weeks. These payments will be 100% federal funding. And taxpayers will receive up to $1,200 for individual filers, $2,400 for joint filers, and an additional $500 per child. This is nationwide and includes the Marianas. The federal government will cover the full cost. Payments are reduced for people beyond certain income limits. The release from Congressman Sablon states additional legislation is being discussed to guide the United States through the coronavirus crisis. Goods to the Northern Marianas continue to flow, and although store hours are limited, a lot of work behind the scenes is going on to keep food. Our Chris Nelson speaks with Bernie Valencia, the general manager of Matson, about the supply chain.
Well, currently we have weekly sailings, and that's uninterrupted, and those go as scheduled. A lot of people have been worried that the shelter-in-place program in California or the shelter-in-place program in Hawaii might have affected us, right? But the governors of both of those states have said that the shipping industry, and which includes your vendors and people you need, like the truckers, that includes them, they are essential businesses.
Goods from the West Coast normally take 14 days to get to Guam, and then they are unloaded and reloaded for shipment to Saipan. Those sailings happen once a week aboard the Papa Mau, and that vessel arrived last night.
The weekly sailing is really all the food and supplies that your normal wholesalers and retailers would bring in for Saipan, and as well as construction materials. Given that Saipan is still going through recovery from the typhoon, there's construction materials that come in, and any other things that the island needs on a weekly basis.
Valencia says Matson delivers about 50 containers per week, but because of lead times, it can take a bit of time for the supply chain to react to items that are in high demand.
Our retailers and wholesalers plan way in advance when they put their orders in. So they may not have had the opportunity to react yet and adjust their orders because of what's happening globally. We get most of our things from the United States West Coast, which is stuff that came on the Papa Mau last night into Saipan. So not everyone's been able to change their orders, whether to increase or decrease whatever those items might be. But what I really wanted to do was talk to you and talk to everyone in Saipan and ask people not to hoard. We're a very resilient community. We'll get through this together, but I think everyone needs to remember where we come from, the type of community we are. We're here to help each other.
Anything else people should know here, Bernie? We really appreciate your time today.
Well, I just wanted to give everybody peace of mind that our schedule remains uninterrupted.
About 15,000 meals were prepped and served by the public school system's child nutrition program. Sally Lemus has the details.
It is called the Grab and Go Meal Distribution Program that has 13 sites across Saipan, Tinian, and Rota. Breakfast, lunch, and snacks are given to all children 18 years old and under. Dale Roberts, director of the Child Nutrition Program, says his office has reached out to the United States Department of Agriculture in getting a waiver that allows parents to get the food without having their child present. Roberts says there might be some difficulties in securing the waiver and says all rules must be followed.
We're right now operating our summer program, meal program. We're not doing, this is not technically a school meals program right now. We've kicked into the summer meals program. Whenever there is a disaster, like a hurricane or a typhoon or a tornado or a flood, USDA automatically defaults into the summer food program because it allows us to do things out in the community that are not necessarily directly related to the schools. They have different rules. And because it's more of a community designed plan, the kid has to be on site to get the meals. I mean, that's just the default rules. I can't tell you how many calls and how many texts and how many messages I've gotten with people trying to find ways to not have to bring their kid to the site. And I apologize to everybody who's asked that question that I've had to say, I'm sorry that your child needs to be here.
On the first day of Grab and Go, Roberts says they had prepared 5,200 sets of breakfast, lunch, and snacks. That equals to 15,600 meals altogether.
Today, we increased the meals at some of the sites because we expected the participation to be higher. And even at a few of the sites that we increased the number of meals, they ran out maybe 10 minutes before the end of the day. I started getting calls at 11:20 that, oh, we just ran out. And I apologize to folks that may have gone to a site like, for example, MHS or Garapan, and the meals were finished while you were still in line. I would like everybody to know that if you do go to a site and there are no more meals, please go to one of the other sites.
Roberts says they will be increasing the amount of meals at those places where the meals ran short. Another concern addressed is the short hours of the program.
I know that there are people that would love for us to be open for maybe 2-3 more hours than what we already are. But we have to take into consideration that all of our breakfast and lunch entree items are all prepared food. They were cooked from scratch this morning. And anybody that knows anything about food safety knows that you have a certain amount of time during the day that you can have food sitting at room temperature or approaching room temperature, and we don't want to risk anybody getting sick.
The program was supposed to start last week, but a lot of debate occurred before the launching of the program.
There are a lot of folks in the community that would prefer that we're not doing this because they fear for the general health of the entire community. And there are a lot of people that say, yeah, but my kids are hungry. I haven't had a paycheck in a couple of weeks because I got laid off or I'm not currently working at the hotel or the restaurant or Managaha or wherever it is that my job is. And those are the folks that we really need to reach. This program's not going to solve everybody's problems, and it's not going to be exactly the way people want it to be to suit their own needs. And we're doing it the best that we can to do the most good.
A lot might notice that not all menus are the same. This is because of the different vendors who are working with PSS that are serving food they already have in stock.
Hopefully by the end of next week, all of the vendors will now be on the same page with all their ordering and things, and then we'll be able to publish a menu.
The menu is based on the Summer Food Service Program guideline that covers having grain, protein, fruits, vegetables, milk, and water in every meal. I'm Sally Lemus reporting for KSPN News.
Coming up, fueling your gas tank will be a bit cheaper as prices have dropped. More after the break.
Mom, are you sure? What about the shutters? And do you have your medicine?
Don't worry about us, love, okay? You take good care of yourself. I'm in love. Yeah, sorry. The power went out, so I had to light up all the candles. Yeah. Yes, baby, yeah. I'm just glad our home phone's working and we're able to contact you.
Welcome to the Marianas Eye Institute. Our office on Beach Road is staffed with U.S. certified eye care technicians, doctors that have received national recognition, and a friendly, professional staff that will look after you and your loved ones. With over 1,200 eyeglass frames to choose from and an in-house lab, we can make most glasses in about an hour. And we even feature a mobile clinic to bring eye care to you. Keep your eyes healthy and strong with professional eye care at the Marianas Eye Institute.
Welcome back to the Channel 2 News. Those looking to fuel up their vehicles will see a nice little drop in the price. Mobil gas station here in Saipan has dropped gas prices 30 cents as of 10 a.m. this morning.
There's been a drop in the price, and so we made an adjustment today.
Anthony is the mobile fuel sales manager here in the CNMI and says the price drop is in response to the COVID-19 outbreak to provide a bit of relief.
It's more of a global response to COVID-19.
How has it been at the gas station since the convenience store part has to be closed at 1? Have you guys continued to get a lot of customers getting gas even after 1 p.m.?
Yeah, we've had some customers come in. I think everyone's just trying to cope with the difference in hours. But we've been practicing social distancing and helping our customers as well as we can.
While mobile customers are seeing the reduction in price to fuel up, these Shell gas stations have not followed suit yet. Gas prices here at Shell have not dropped, correct?
Yeah.
And how does that usually work with you guys? I thought you and Shell and Mobile usually around the same price. So how does that work with you guys? How's the price dropping?
Sometimes, like, if it raises too, we're first than them, or sometimes they're first than us. But it's usually like, we're like, if not the same time, then like a day difference where it drops and it goes up. Yeah.
So you guys are still at $3.94
yeah.
right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys will be dropping sometime this week.
Hopefully.
First responders in the CNMI will have proper equipment and supplies to help combat the spread of the coronavirus. Sally Lemus has more on this.
The CNMI was awarded more than $366,000 for personal protective equipment and hygienic supplies for all government first responders to prevent the outbreak of COVID-19. In an interview with Press Secretary Kevin Bautista, the CNMI has hundreds of people who are at the front line of this pandemic. Not just law enforcement officers, but government employees as well who work every day to serve the community.
This grant that we just received from OIA, which has been a huge partner for us over the last several years, is a big one because we want to be able to protect everyone who's taking time from their families and not staying home in order to protect the people who are staying home, taking the executive order seriously, taking every single public information and precautionary measure seriously.
The money will be used to purchase every type of equipment that is used against contracting droplets that lead to the transmission of COVID-19, such as face masks, gloves, hazmat suits, and more.
So we have not just the government, but we're also working with the private sector on managing our designated facilities. So Canoa Resort staff would be given PPEs as well. A lot like this is a blanket grant award that encompasses hundreds of individuals who can be potentially exposed to the virus. And one of the biggest things that we're doing is that we're taking every precautionary measure to ensure that they're protected in the best way possible.
The federal assistance was made possible by the Assistant Secretary for Insular and International Affairs, Douglas Dominic, who worked with the CNMI's Office of Insular Affairs and Technical Assistance Program. Reporting for KSPN, I'm Sally Lemis.
The Department of Public Safety continues to patrol inside the villages on the lookout for minors.
Curfew laws for minors are being strictly enforced during these tough times. In a phone interview with DPS spokesperson Adrian Pangilinan, the numbers of minors who stay out after hours have dropped since the implementation of the extended curfew hours.
The numbers that I have are as of Saturday, which we did cite about 8 minors for violating the curfew law. But once again, the minors and their parents were educated on the importance of that. Looking at the numbers on the patrol side, I can't say for sure, exactly from village to village what's the statistics, but it seems to be that the numbers of minors patrolling the streets are going down.
Pangilinan says no arrests have been made yet. Officers have cited the minors and continue to brief parents on the importance of the curfew law.
We were actually directed to strictly enforce the curfew law, but we try our best to educate the parents and especially the minors and the citizens involved, about the importance of why there's a curfew law, what's the use, how can it help our community, not just their family or like their elders or like if they have babies in the household or young infants in the household, but how can the community come together and how that can help us.
Pangilinan says minors are usually spotted at public places such as skate parks, basketball courts, beach pavilions, and at low-light areas. DPS is asking the community to report any minors who are seen violating the curfew law. I'm Sally Lemis for KSPN News.
Stay tuned because coming up after the break is your weather report.
Hey, we know that in life it happens. And when it does, Dial Rent to Own is here to help. Come down and get a new phone today. It's easy. It's quick. We've got Apple and Samsung phones in stock and ready to go. Flush your worries away and come to Dial Rent to Own. No credit needed. And ask about how you can save 50% when you pay cash. Dial Rent to Own.
My family is on whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume.
Since we installed the Docomo whole home Wi-Fi, what did you guys notice about it?
When you pull up the driveway, it automatically connects, and I don't have to get out of my car right away and come upstairs to go on my phone.
My favorite thing is that it doesn't buffer when I'm watching YouTube.
My favorite thing is that when Addie calls now, there's no lag. Like before, it used to be where I couldn't see her sometimes and I have to hang up and then call her back, and now I don't have to do that.
You know what's a good thing too is that when you come over to visit, I could give you your own password. I can assign a time limit so that I can say that you can only be on it for 1 hour. So that means you won't get in trouble from your mom.
And then you can go home.
The thing that I love the most is that I can freeze the internet for periods of time so that we can enjoy dinner time like this. Why are you rolling your eyes? So I'll turn it back on after dinner. Whole home Wi-Fi powered by Plume. Docomo Pacific, better together.
And here is your weather report. Today we had a high of 87, a low of 78. Humidity is 68%. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with isolated showers, east winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 88, a low of 78, seas 6 to 8 feet. Sunrise at 6:15 a.m., high tide 9:10 a.m., low tide 3:40 p.m., and a sunset at 6:29 p.m. And thank you for watching this Friday edition of the KSPN2 News. Have a safe rest of your weekend.